A show created by the fans, for the fans. We are your home for Ohio State football coverage all year long. The Scarlet and Gray Podcast, a Network 216 production. Live weekdays on the Network 216 YouTube channel. Send us all your questions and comments on Twitter at @VSG_podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Tyler Johnson, Jordan Dalton, and Nick Leisure.
Hello, Buckeye Nation, and welcome to today's episode of the Scarlet and Gray Podcast. We finally have the game everyone has been waiting for, your Ohio State versus Oregon game day preview. I am Tyler Johnson, joined by, as always, Nick Leisure, Jordan Dalton. Gentlemen, it's been a long time. We've been waiting for this game pretty much, since this preseason when we knew Ohio State was going to be traveling to Oregon. But how are you guys doing today?
Doing well, ready to talk about this game, West Coast football in the Big Ten. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, dude, no doubt. I don't know about you guys, but I know we were all at the game the last time Ohio State had to play Oregon, and it didn't particularly go so well. So that's kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. So excited to hopefully get some revenge on their home turf.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I don't even want to talk about the last time Ohio State played Oregon because that was not a fun experience. But anyway, guys, we do have a lot to talk about, of course. So if you would take a quick second, drop a like on the video if you would, please. Again, help that YouTube algorithm grow for us. But also subscribe if you are brand new to the channel. Completely free, subscribe. That way you don't miss any Ohio State football content this year. Again, we have 2 uploads per week, our regular Tuesday night show, and then our game day previews. So make sure that you don't miss any of that content. And also spread the word. If you've consistently been watching us or listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, be sure to spread the word about the show. We really would appreciate that support. Guys, Ohio State is traveling to Eugene to take on the Oregon Ducks. This is a team in Oregon that has, much like Ohio State, they've added some players from the transfer portal. You look at Oregon, they added a new starting quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, comes from Oklahoma, former Heisman Trophy candidate, still is a Heisman candidate this year. They add Dante Moore, freshman quarterback, now sophomore, from UCLA, former 5-star. They add former 5-star wide receiver Evan Stewart from Texas A&M. I mean, this is a team where you look around and Oregon on paper, this could be the Buckeyes' biggest test of the year. When you see Oregon, and we have already watched them play a few times, what really stands out to you guys?
Their defense. They have a really good defense. Defensive line is really, really good. Probably one of the best that we're going to see this year. Probably one of the best in college football. I think it's going to be the true test for our offensive line and our run game. Will Howard's going to see a lot of things he hasn't seen this year. Really good athletes on the other side of the field. And this is a team that we talked about as our preseason favorites for, like, outside of Ohio State to be national championship contenders. So I think they've kind of shown similar things to Ohio State in terms of they have a transfer quarterback, first-year guy, veteran, kind of learning new offense, all that stuff, the bumps and bruises that come along with that. Pretty similar to what we're dealing with Will Howard over here in Columbus. But all in all, it's a very good team. And they just played. We have one common opponent that we've played against, Michigan State. And it was a pretty similar game to Ohio State versus Michigan State. Started slow, and then as the game went on, you could see that the more talented team pull away. So very, very excited for this matchup. It's going to be close game. I think that they're gonna compete, and it's, this is a game that we've had circled on our schedule for a long time for a reason. This is a really good Oregon team. And we're playing in Oregon in a night game. So a night game for us. I guess it'd be a 4:30 kickoff for Oregon. So it'll be a 7:30 for the Columbus guys. But I am very excited for this one.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think similar. I mean, look at their schedule. I mean, definitely against Idaho and Boise State, a couple close calls early. But then you look week 3, they beat Oregon State 49-14. They beat UCLA 34-13. They beat Michigan State 31-10. So this is an offense similar to Ohio State where I think they're really starting to find their rhythm a little bit as an offense. They're really starting to find their groove. Like you mentioned, Jordan, Dylan Gabriel, it's a new system for him as well. I mean, transfer coming over from Oklahoma this year, going out to Oregon. I mean, the kid can throw it. I mean, similar to Will Howard, it's a lot of quick stuff. I mean, I think he's almost got 1,500 yards passing as well, 11 touchdowns, 3 picks. So, I mean, the stat lines are eerily similar. And I think the difference in this ball game is going to be the playmakers outside. Now, does Oregon have some playmakers outside? Absolutely. But I think the corners that we have at Denzel Burke and Davidson Igmanosin, our secondary in general, I think is really going to make the difference in this ball game. I'm super psyched for this one. I think they're going all black. I think it's a blackout out there in Eugene this weekend. So, I mean, all the juice you could ask for is going to be infused in this game.
I think when you look at both these teams, one thing Ohio State should be able to do in this game, look at how Oregon struggled with Ashton Jeanty, and of course everyone else in the country has so far this year. But Boise State only has Jeanty, and he kept him in the game single-handedly with nearly 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, nearly ran for 8 yards a carry. And Oregon now is going up against, not only is Jeanty the best running back in college football, because I think that's a fair and reasonable statement to make, but now he's going up against 2 of the other best running backs in college football. And in this case, it's going to be one right after the other. I mean, you're going to have they're going to be facing Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. And I expect Ohio State to be able to run the ball in this game. I think that's going to be the biggest thing, is just establishing the run game against Oregon, because, again, if Boise State can do it, I believe Ohio State should be able to do that. And then in the passing game, Will Howard. This is going to be the toughest environment that he has played in since becoming a Buckeye. Now, again, he's played in a lot of big games. Big 12 championship game for Kansas State. He's played at Texas. He's played at Oklahoma. So, I mean, he has played on the road in tough environments. But this is going to be a little bit different against Oregon in this type of environment. What you want to see from him is just get him, and I think we're going to see it. Chip Kelly's going to get him some nice, short, easy throws in this game. He's got to be able to take advantage of it like he has so far all year. And then, guys, I think we can agree, the quarterback that makes the least mistakes. Because one thing with these quarterbacks, it's kind of crazy when you look at them. They're both transfers. They both have a lot of experience. And they both have thrown 3 interceptions. Now, Dylan Gabriel's coming off a 2-interception game against Michigan State, where I watched the first half of that game, and he did not look very good. Now, again, settled down in the second half, but I think for me, that battle at quarterback is ultimately what's going to win this game. When you guys look at Oregon's offense, what is the component you think Ohio State needs to contain the most?
I mean, obviously, it's probably Dylan Gabriel, right? I mean, he's shown that he's got the experience. He's got the game-hardened experience that, you want in a quarterback. And, I mean, looking at a couple of the receivers, Tez Johnson, I mean, the transfer from Troy, he's really had a great start to his year, 43 catches, 395 yards, 5 touchdowns. So, I mean, he's averaging 9.2 a catch. So, I think, I'd imagine – they're not going to roll any coverage over to him or anything. But, I mean, I think you just got to worry about the passing game. And the running game, I mean, they have a good running back. And what's his name? Oh, yeah, Jordan James.
Jordan James, yep.
Yeah, he's a solid back. He's got over 500 yards on the year, averaging 6.5 a carry. So, I mean, they have a really good balance, similar to the Buckeyes, But I think, like you said, TJ, I think this is going to come down to the trenches, honestly. I mean, I think – whoever wins the line of scrimmage and who's able to run the ball more effectively, I think is going to win this football game. But, yeah, I mean, just containing Dylan Gabriel, because he's mobile as well. So, I mean, he can get out of the pocket and kind of create a little bit for himself. So you just got to make sure that you kind of contain him. You don't want to let him break off any runs or anything like broken down coverage or anything like that. But this is definitely going to be the best passing attack that Ohio State has seen to date.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel, 6-year senior, and he's played in every season, so he has 6 years of college football experience. He had 1 year where he got injured. I think that allowed him to get redshirted and kind of extend his college football career. But this guy has seen it all. He's played for big schools. Started at UCF, played at Oklahoma for a few years, and now he's at Oregon for his final year in college football. Yeah, I think I agree with you, TJ. It's like if we can make him make mistakes, I think our offense will be able to pull away. It's going to come down to, I think, if the defense can make big plays and force turnovers more so than Will Howard. Will Howard, I don't think is going to make many mistakes in this football game. I think it's going to come down to the defense making plays for us, which we haven't really seen a ton of turnovers. We've seen a couple interceptions off of tip passes and other things, but I definitely think we need to make a couple interceptions in this game, and I'd love to see a pick six. Really would love to see a pick six.
I think where I'm at with this is I'm expecting I've seen Dylan Gabriel enough in college football to know that for the most part, he's going to perform in a big game like this. I think the couple things that I need Ohio State contain him in the run game. This is the type of game Dylan Gabriel could really have an impact on the ground. And one thing Ohio State has struggled with continuously is quarterbacks that are somewhat mobile, able to make plays in the run game. And this is the type of game where Dylan Gabriel could really impact it. But then the other thing is Oregon has shown with Jordan James that they can run the football. But the guy that I'm looking at the most today, if I'm the Buckeyes, Tez Johnson leads them in receiving. He's a really good player. Decided to come back for his senior year. Trayshawn Holden, he's also another really good player. But the guy I'm keeping my eye on here is Evan Stewart, who is the transfer out of Texas A&M. This is a guy that, as a freshman, was one of the top young receivers in college football last year. So far, he has not had a big start to the season. Only 182 yards and 2 touchdowns. And again, he could have missed some time due to injury. And if he did, Oregon fans, let me know. But I think he's a guy that he's electric. And I would not be surprised if Oregon tries to get him really involved in this game. Because one thing Ohio State has done this year that, I mean, we've talked about it before. The one thing that's irritated me about this defense, there's no reason we should be playing our corners 7 yards off the ball against some of these guys. Like, I understand respecting guys, but when arguably you have the best secondary in college football, especially when we get second and short, don't play these guys 8 yards off the ball, please. Like, there's no reason. Like, I'm not saying you need to be press coverage every single play, but the further we play back, you're just giving Dylan Gabriel these easy throws that Oregon wants. So I think, like, in this game, just don't do that. Like, get in situations. Jim Knowles needs to trust Denzel Burke. He needs to trust Davison Igbinosun, Jermaine Matthews, Jordan Hancock. Let these guys get in your face. This is going to be a battle between arguably the second best receiving core in the country. Yeah, I said second best and not obviously the best, because the best is on the other side of the football field. But you're talking about a group that Oregon has a lot of talent on that side of the ball. And Ohio State is going to have to be ready for it. And I think they will be. But again, Evan Stewart's a guy I would watch out for if I was the Buckeye defense, because he's had a quiet start to the season and he's quite a talent. So that's something I'd really watch there. Guys, the Ohio State defense, what do you guys need to see from the Buckeye defense in order to I don't know if there's a way to really shut down Oregon's offense, but at least contain Dylan Gabriel and the rest of these weapons?
It's going to come down to that defensive line where you can have it early. Dylan Gabriel's completing 77% of his passes this year, which is pretty dang good. I think a lot of that is coming off of similar style plays that we see with Will Howard at Ohio State. Quick, designed one-read throws, get the ball out. If we can disrupt those easy throws for Dylan Gabriel, I think we'll have a really good shot at getting them on these 3 and outs and certain things and throwing their offense offense off a rhythm. So I think that's the key for Ohio State.
I don't want to see the prototypical Jim Knowles big play defensive breakdown. In a game like this, the margins are super razor thin, and we cannot give up like a big 60-yard bomb or something like that. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, it seems like that happens. Not so like we've been under Jim Knowles extremely good preventing the big play until the big game.
Yes, exactly.
It's like throughout the season you don't see any big plays, but then in those big games against Michigan, against Georgia, it's like
when it matters the most and everything's on the table, it's like, oh crap, how is that guy just wide open on a 3rd and 7 and there's a 65-yard touchdown? Like, I don't want to see it. And then, I mean, when it comes to our corners, just being physical at the line of scrimmage, like you said, TJ, I'd like to see them kind of get up and press and have some more man coverage. I feel like they've been running a lot of zone. But to be fair, dude, the defense has been on both sides. It's been very vanilla. You know, I feel like we're going to see some stuff this week that no one has seen on tape yet this year on both sides of the football. And that could go for Oregon as well. I think today, not today, but Saturday night, it's really going to be all put on the table. Because, I mean, I'm not saying this is because both teams could lose and still get into the CFP, which is unfortunate. I mean, but that's just the landscape that we're in, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, this is the biggest game. You know, Ohio State's had this circled on their schedule since they saw the schedules come out. I mean, everyone is just excited for this one. But, yeah, I just really need to see the defense kind of step up in a big way. An interception or two would really be awesome. Would really be great.
I agree with that. We'll get to our game picks and the spread here in a second. But what do you think? What do you need to see from the offense to give you guys confidence that Ohio State can come out with a win on the road? I think for me, the biggest thing is I feel like we talk about ad nauseum. Just take care of the football. You know this is going to be a very difficult environment to play in. Like, there's no doubt. And the good news is we do have a quarterback that has experience playing some very tough environments in Will Howard. But you have to eliminate the mistakes. Those 2 turnovers against Iowa, it's a good thing you were playing Iowa, a team that really just can't do anything on offense, because good teams are normally able to make you pay for any turnovers. And again, 2 turnovers early, I think that's the biggest thing. The team that has the least amount of turnovers is going to end up winning this game. I know that's kind of a cliche, but especially in a big game like this, we can all agree there's very little margin for error. And both quarterbacks, I mean, Will Howard has an interception in the last 3 games. Dylan Gabriel threw 2 in the last game, and he's had some fumbling issues this year. I think that's what it's going to come down to in this game. You're going to have to take care of the football, and that's every single player in this team. Jeremiah Smith, this is another case for him, and I'm sure he'll be fine. But like, those little lapses, you just cannot have in a game of this magnitude on the road.
I think you got to prevent 3 and outs. You can't have a 3 and out in this game. Even if it's, a first down and then you go 3 downs, you don't convert. It's like, I think 3 and outs just cannot happen in this ball game.
Given
so
the field and
exactly. 3 and outs just can't happen. Because I'm not saying our punters aren't great. I mean, they're not terrible, but they haven't been utilized a lot this year, which has been great. But in a game like this, field position is just so important. So, 3 and outs just can't happen, and really just establish the run early. Just let him – I'd love to see Quinshon start in the backfield, because he definitely seems to be the running back with a little bit more physicality and juice to him. Don't get me wrong, Trey has been great, but I feel like in this type of football game, I want to see him punch Oregon in the mouth early and bring in the bruiser and Quinshon and kind of let him do his thing and get the offense rolling.
JD, anything to add?
No, that was exactly what I was thinking. I was going to say, just get the game started, man. Get those 2 running backs going and just let them do their thing. Because if we can establish the run game, it makes everything easier on the offense, everything easier on Will. So, yeah, I totally agree.
Okay.
Gotta keep Will upright too, because this is a D line that's going to get after him. Got to keep him upright.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at the defensive line. Mateo Ugiangole, you got Jordan Birch. I mean, this is the defensive line that already. I mean, Oregon right now is 16 sacks so far this year, so they're going to get after the quarterback. I mean, we know that. I think too, what's different about this Oregon team, at least for me, compared to years past, this team has a lot more depth. And I know they went to the transfer portal to get a lot of that depth, but both teams have a lot of depth. I also look at Derek Harmon on the inside, the defensive tackle who transferred from Michigan State. Also, funny enough, visited Ohio State, but ultimately didn't come here because Ohio State brought everybody back. So there was no guarantee he was going to start here like you would Oregon. But anyways, guys, it's finally that time for our picks. Ohio State is going to Oregon, to Autzen Stadium. We know it's one of the toughest environments to play in college football. 7:30 kickoff. Ohio State is favored in this game by 3.5 points. So definitely interesting. Again, it's a very close spread, but do you think Ohio State covers the spread? And then give your prediction for the game.
You want me to go, JD? So I was talking to TJ about this earlier, actually, and I think Ohio State covers pretty easily, to be honest. I think with 5 minutes left to go in this football game, the game will be decided. Hopefully, going into the fourth quarter, this game's decided, and you don't have to worry about it. I like the Buckeyes 38-28. I think they come out and they Oregon's going to score. I mean, that's just kind of inevitable, I think, with that offense and Dylan Gabriel. They're going to find ways to score. But I think the talent is going to take over late. And, yeah, I like the Buckeyes 38-28. I think they cover. And I think we do see a touchdown from somebody other than the offense. Whether it be special teams or defense. I think we get a touchdown in the other two phases.
Okay. Like it. All right, JD.
I think they cover, but not by very much. I'm going 28-24. I think it's going to be a really close game. I think it's actually going to come down to the fourth quarter. And I think somebody other than the offense is going to score a touchdown. Whether that's teams or defense.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I think we'll get a pick six in this game. I think we're due, and I think we're going to have a big play by the defense.
Okay.
Cool down, baby.
Hey, man. What? Just so a stat real quick, since you brought Caleb Downs, I do have to bring up a stat on Caleb Downs. He has not missed a tackle since week 1 against Akron.
That's not shocking to me. That dude is textbook.
Like you're saying nobody's broken a tackle of his?
Correct.
Nice.
So, I mean, that's pretty impressive, I would say.
Yeah, pretty good.
We could use him. We could use him on a professional football team up north.
Nope, not doing it. Don't even do it. What's your prediction?
I didn't say the name. By the way, I didn't say the name.
Nope. What's your prediction?
Name. That could be in the lingerie football league for all I'm talking about. But anyway,
I'll tell your wife.
Anyway, I mean, I do think they're going to cover, but I'm also with JD, especially on the margin of victory. Again, it's 3.5 points. I do think Ohio State covers that. It's going to be a close game because, unfortunately, I hate to say this, I think the Buckeyes are going to start off slow. You know why? Because they start off slow in every game we play. So I have a feeling that
I guess Iowa.
Okay.
They march down the field. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm done.
Conversation
continue.
Because I still think they started off slow with 2 turnovers. But anyway, okay. Anyway, I just think that this game on the road, both teams, I think both teams are going to start off slow a little bit because I think they're going to feel each other out. No one's going to really just march down the field to start this game, and really be able to set the tone. Like I see a couple 3-and-outs early in this game. So in the second half, teams are going to get a lot more comfortable. The quarterback's going to be a lot more comfortable in this game. But in the end, I think the Ohio State defense will need to stop when it needs to in order to win this game. So I have Ohio State 31, Oregon 27. to me, that's low scoring because, I mean, you could make the argument this could be each team could put up 40 points, but I just think the defenses in this case are two of the best in college football, and I don't see it being a high scoring game. Now, could it be? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, but if a team puts up that much on this Ohio State defense, that would be a little concerning just because I really don't think there's a team out there that should be able to do that given the amount of talent that Ohio State has on defense. But yeah, that's where I have it. I think the Buckeyes come up victorious on the road, and that's a lot of good momentum after this game because, again, after this, you have Nebraska at home, then you go to Happy Valley. So a lot of good momentum for the Buckeyes. But anything else you guys
in a row?
Huh?
A couple tough games in a row, honestly.
Nebraska should be ranked by the time
schedule.
They come to Columbus. Yeah. So,
nah, man, I'm ready for it to be here. 7:30 cannot get here soon enough. You know that place is gonna be rocking. Unfortunately, though, it is on NBC. So
NBC and Peacock.
So we're not going to get Kirky on the call, which I like Herb Street when he gets to call big Buckeye games, but that's all right.
I could be incorrect on this. Maybe one of you guys can correct me because I'm glad you brought up Herb Street. Does ESPN even have the right to Big Ten football anymore? I don't think they do.
But they're still going. Game Day's still going.
Yeah. I was definitely surprised of all that NBC got the game, but it is what it is. Anything else you guys want to add on this game before we wrap up this game day preview? Again, I think we can make the argument it is one of, if not the biggest game for the Buckeyes in this regular season. That matchup in Happy Valley might come close, but anything else you guys want to add?
Nah, dude. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. Go Bucks. Well, thank you to everyone that tunes in to these Ohio State game day previews. Again, we really appreciate everyone that tunes in. So show that support. Drop a like on the video if you would. Subscribe if you are brand new to the channel. Again, we upload at least 2 videos to the YouTube channel per week, regular show and your game day previews. But also, every episode of the show is on Spotify, is on Apple Podcasts. So if you are listening to audio only, feel free, drop us a 5-star review if you would. Again, that helps push the show out there to those that have not yet seen the Scarlet and Gray podcast. So we really would appreciate that support as well. We will talk to you guys all again on Tuesday evening. As always, go Buckeyes.